Australia are out of the T20 World Cup 2026, gone, eliminated. And right now, the cricket world is debating why. Was it one bad game? Selection mistakes? Bad luck? I went back to the group stage data. Every number, every face, every player. And what I found will change how you think about Australia's entire campaign. Because the data was screaming to answer this whole time. Three specific problems, all hiding in plain sight. And almost nobody was talking about them while Australia was still in the tournament. Let's go through them one by one, starting with the one that defined Australia's exit. Issue number one, that was batting strike rate. Over 16 to 20, the face of the game where T20 tournaments are decided. While everyone was watching Mars and Head dominate the power play, the death overs were quietly unraveling, and the numbers prove it. Start with the full innings batting strike rate. All 20 overs combined, Australia set at 142, fifth in the whole tournament. And when you zoom in, look where Australia landed. Sri Lanka at the top with 203, South Africa 187, Australia bottom of the pile at 127. These are Australia's death over batters, and this is where the structural problem becomes clear. Inglis strike rate 170 at the death. Sounds brilliant, but he faced only 10 balls. Renshaw 160 strike rate, but 15 balls. Stoinis 135 strike rate from 20 balls, the biggest sample of any Australian death batter. And 135 simply wasn't fast enough when Australia needed 15 and over. Cooper Connolly one hit 16.67 of 12 balls, one hit 10 of 10 balls for Xavier Bartlett, barely above a run a ball in the death. The balls faced columns tells the real story. Nobody was surviving long enough of the death to build an innings. They were walking in, getting out for a low average, which takes us directly to issue number two, death batting average. Not just how fast Australia was scoring, but how long their batters were lasting before getting dismissed. And this number, when you see it, will make you wonder how Australia won as many games as they did in the group stage. Full innings batting average Australia at 22, tied 10th in the tournament alongside Pakistan and Nepal. Not elite but acceptable. The top of this chart is dominated by New Zealand at 57, an absurd outlier. Dead batting average, and this chart is where Australia's elimination story is written most clearly. That bar stretching almost off the chart at the top. That's New Zealand at 88, extraordinary. Australia are at 9, 16th out of the 20 teams, a dead batting average of 9. That means every time an Australian batter walked to the crease in over 16 to 20, they contributed at an average of just 9 runs before losing their wicket. 9 runs in 5 overs of batting opportunity. At the exact phase of the game where you need your batters to take the attack on and score 15 to 20 runs each over. Australia were making 9 runs, strike rate of 127, both in the bottom 6 of all the teams. Every Australian batter who faced balls in the death overs, plotted by balls faced on the x-axis and average on the y-axis. Stoinis faced the most balls, and they averaged 9. Matt Renshaw, 12 of 50. Inglis, 17 of 10. Ben Twase, 6 of 7. Bartlett, 11 of 10. They simply weren't getting to the crease early enough, and when they did, they couldn't get going before their dismissal. This was Australia's dead batting lineup, and that was the reason they went home. Issue number 3, and this one is about Australia's bowling, but it connects directly to the batting problems we just saw. Dots bowled in the dead overs. How many times per game were Australia's dead bowlers landing in good areas, building pressure, preventing the boundary? The answer explains why the teams that bat Australia were able to set totals that Australia's dead batting simply couldn't chase. Total dot balls across the full innings. Australia at 164, sitting 7th globally. 7th in the world for total dots ball. That's a legitimate strength. Australia could build pressure throughout the innings. But the phase breakdown tells a much darker story. Death overs dots ball. And this chart shows you exactly what Australia's bowling attack could not do. Sri Lanka bowled 50 dot balls into the holes, England 45, India 45, Australia 17, 16 out of the 20 teams. Over dot ball 7th, death over dot 16th. Another catastrophic 9 place drop in the same phase that destroyed their batting. And then those unreachable totals were handed to Australia's death batting lineup, averaging 9, striking at 127, and the result was inevitable. Death bowling gave away the runs, death batting couldn't recover them, both ends of the same phase failing simultaneously. That's not bad luck, that's a structural breakdown. And the data was showing it throughout the group stage. We just weren't looking. These are Australia's individual death over bowlers. Dots bowled against balls bowled. Nathan Ellis 6 of 24. Adam Zampa 6 of 20. Glenn Maxwell 5 of 12. Marcus Stoinis 2 from 5. Ben Tuasius 1 dot from 6 balls. Cameron Green 1 from 1. Total across the entire tournament 17 death over dots. Against teams like England with 45 and Sri Lanka with 50, Australia were being outgunned with the balls in this phase by a factor of nearly 3 to 1. Three problems, same phase, same 5 overs, both with the bat and the ball. That was the blueprint to beat Australia, and the teams went through, knew it. And the teams that went through knew it. Because here's the thing, Australia weren't the bad team, not even close. In the power play, they were breathtaking. In the middle overs with the ball, Sampa was elite. The strengths were genuine, world class. But the team's tournament life is determined by its weaknesses, not its strengths. And Australia's weaknesses were so concentrated, so phase specific, that it became impossible to paper over. Let me show you what you could have been. Let me show you what could have been and what ultimately wasn't. Strength number one, the power play with the bat. This is where Australia were genuinely one of the best thing. Strength number one, the power play with the bat. This is where Australia were genuinely one of the best batting lineups in the entire tournament, and it makes what happened at the death all the more heartbreaking. Total boundaries across all phases: India lead with 103, Sri Lanka 95, Australia sit at 71, 10th overall for total boundaries. But this number is misleading because it's dominated by power play boundaries. Power play boundaries specifically, and Australia's position here tells you exactly where the betting energy was focused. Power play boundaries specifically, and Australia's position here tells you exactly where their batting energy was focused. Australia scored 42 power play boundaries. They are at the top of this chart, and the individual breakdown reveals something the raw team numbers can't show: the quality and strike rate of those power play boundaries, not just the count. Mitch Mars 13 fours, 4 sixes. Travis Head 14 fours, 1 6. JP Inglis 5 fours, 2 sixes. Cameron Green 1 4, 2 sixes. Strength number 2. Not just how many boundaries, but how efficiently Australia's top orders scored in the power play. How long they stayed in, how fast they went. These numbers show you exactly the version of Australia that had the whole cricket team nervous before the tournament. Power play efficiency, batting average against batting strike rate. Every team plotted together. Top right corner, high average and high strike rate simultaneously. That's the elite soup. Australia are up there, alongside New Zealand, both operating with the top 5 power play averages and the top 5 power play strike rates. The individual data confirms exactly who was powering this. These numbers are genuinely elite and they deserve to be celebrated even though Australia are out. Benchmark's power play batting average of 87, strike rate of 207 across 42 balls fixed. Read that again. Average 87, strike rate 207. In the power play, Mars was the single most destructive power play batter in this tournament. He was scoring over 2 runs a ball while averaging 87. Inglis averaged 41, strike rate 205. Head averaged 69, strike rate of 147. Cameron Green averaged 10.5, but strike rate 161. Maxwell in the power play averaged 6, strike rate 75. When Maxwell is coming in as a power play batter after early wickets and scoring at 75, that tells you the balance of Australia's batting order was already disrupted. String number 3, one that caught almost no attention during the tournament, Australia's middle over bowling, and specifically one man who was quietly carrying this entire bowling attack through overs 7 to 15. Total thoughts ball, all faces, all teams, Australia at 164, sitting 7th globally. Middle overs dots balled, we see Australia in the top 3 with 74 dots balled. Adam Zampa, 26 dots from 72 balls balled. 72, that is 12 full overs of middle overs bowling from Zampa alone, more than double any other Australian bowler in this phase. And from those 72 balls, he generated 26 dot deliveries, the most dots and the most volume by a massive margin. Nathan Ellis 10 dots, Stoinis 8 dots, Maxwell 7 dots. Now add up all the dots from everyone, and that's 48 dots from 7 bowlers combined across 137 balls. Australia's entire middle order batting Australia's entire middle overs bowling strategy was give Zampa the ball and hope everyone holds their ends up. Australia are out of the T20 World Cup 2026, and now you know exactly why. It wasn't one bad game, it wasn't the selection error in the final match, it was three systematic problems that left in the data throughout the group stage. Hiding behind Mars's 207 strike rate and Head's 53 ball masterclass in the power play. Dead batting average of 9, 16th out of 20 teams. Dead batting strike rate of 127, 15th out of 20 teams. Dead bowling dodge just 17 across the entire group stage. The power play was elite, Sempa was elite, but elite only in those phases can't carry you through a World Cup. Not when the final 5 overs, both with the bat and ball, are bottom 6 globally. The teams that went through read this blueprint. They bowled tight against They bowled tight through the power play to dry up Marsden's head. They scored freely in the death against Australia's bowling, and they defended those totals knowing Australia couldn't accelerate past 127 strike rate when it mattered most. The stats were almost there, nobody noticed them. If you want this kind of analysis for every Super 8 team, India, England, South Africa, Pakistan, subscribe. The numbers don't lie, and I'll see you in the next one.